off our NHL segment here. All-Star Weekend is behind us, kind of getting past that halfway point. Kind of looking at the standings right now, as far as the 12 teams that would be a sure lock for the playoffs right now with the top 3 spots in their divisions. Just going to list them all off here quick. We got Florida, Tampa, Toronto, Carolina, the Rangers, Pens, Avalanche, Predators, Wild, Vegas, Kings, and Ducks. All currently would be in the playoffs, obviously pending, wild cards beyond that too, but these would be a for sure lock. Of these teams, which do you see falling out and missing the postseason entirely?
If there is going to be, it's going to be the it's going to be the Kings and the Ducks. I feel like if teams are going to get caught and pushed out, those are the teams that are going to get caught by the Canadian, the Flames, and the Oilers that are working their way back to games played. I feel like other than that, every other team is super strong. Worse that they're going to drop to with the point differential and point spread that there is. That's kind of the only possibilities of even happening. As the East is pretty much all but locked up at this point. The one crapshoot that you do have is the Islanders because they still have under 40 games played.
Yeah.
So you don't know what they're going to do. But other than that, it's kind of set at this point. It's going to come down to that Pacific Division. And I know Eichel, videos reported earlier today, he was finally cleared of non-contact. So he finally is back to normal practice for the first time today. So who knows how long that's going to be before Vegas even gets another guy added back when they're already at the top.
Yeah. Yeah, in the East, as you said, a lot of separation. I'd say Pittsburgh in that third spot, 3 points ahead of Washington. One less game played, so that's good for Pittsburgh, but also 3 points is only 2 games. But the division I'm kind of looking at as far as a team or two that could drop, well, actually just one team kind of. Nashville, sitting in that second spot at 60 points. Minnesota, 1 point behind them and 5 less games played. The Blues, 3 points behind them and 2 less games played. I could see Nashville falling out into that 4th spot, 5th spot. We talked about them last week, Dallas Stars. Them kind of turning around and playing a little better than they were. Still some catching up to do. They're 12 points back, but they also have 3 less games played than Nashville. So I think Nashville could potentially be that team in the Central that, yeah, they're in that second spot with 60 points, but also every team behind them, with the exception of Chicago, has less games played. So they have room to make that up. And it, just as far as looking over going into the All-Star break, Nashville is 5-3-2. St. Louis was 7-3. Minnesota was 9-0-1. So there's teams behind them that have been playing better hockey. So I think that Nashville could be the team that completely falls out and goes into that wild card spot in the West.
Yeah, it's possible. I just don't see. Yeah, I guess we'll see. St. Louis is just too inconsistent. Nashville obviously is right now, but they have a couple of their top guys out of the lineup with injuries, and they're still going above 500, down a few of their top guys, which is still impressive. And yeah, it's coming around. I guess we'll see. And that ties kind of into my statement / hot take for you. The 4 teams that are currently in first: Avalanche, Golden Knights, Florida Panthers, and the Hurricanes. What teams do you think win their respective conferences and divisions?
Just overall, does
most points in each division, and then who do you think wins each conference?
So starting in the East, in the Atlantic, I think Florida stays in the top spot. They got a 3-point lead right now, given they do have one more game played. But still, even if Tampa wins that game to make it up, they're still a point back. They're just unbelievable goal scoring this year. I think they lead the league in goals, 194 goals. Is that leading? It is. Yeah, they're just 7, 8, 9 goals, like just lighting the lamp nonstop every night that they play. I think they stay at the top. Still Tampa, they like to fly low under the radar. Oh, we got guys out, and then they make their push in the postseason, getting guys back. In the Metro, kind of a while like they went to the All-Star break on a little bit of a slump. I'm gonna say Pittsburgh makes a run and finishes on the top of the Metro. They're only 2 points back. One less game played than the Rangers, but still they have 4 more games than Carolina. I got a feeling Pittsburgh's going to turn it on here, especially if they make a couple moves before the trade deadline. They go make a move for Marc-Andre Fleury. Again, that's just a rumor, not really a whole lot of weight behind that, but still a possibility for him to come back home where it all started. I just like where Pittsburgh's at, and I think that they make a push. And then as far as the East, Florida winning the East, I don't think Pittsburgh catches them as far as points. In the West, Colorado, been kind of riding with them all year. Again, last games played in Nashville with an 8-point lead. They hold that. And as you mentioned, Vegas, they're still missing guys, and they're leading the Pacific with less games played than the Kings and Ducks, who are both behind them. And then same thing, Colorado, 68 points. They take the West. So that's kind of my 4 predictions and the 2 winners out of each conference.
Then I'll stick with the West, right where you left off. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Wild winning the Central Division. I'm going to go with the Golden Knights winning the Pacific Division, with the Wild winning the Western Conference. I think Colorado, with McKinnon out of the lineup right now and with their goaltending question marks, I feel like we see them slide a little bit. The Wild has been the one team all year long that hasn't really wavered in any way of losing any guy for a long stretch. They have 2 solid goaltenders. Their young guys are playing stellar. Offseason moves that they made to really free up a lot of room on that team to still be able to go get somebody at the trade deadline if they do need to go get a vet or another scorer. They're able to do so. Their defense is top notch. Yeah, I see the Minnesota Wild winning the Western Conference. And then going over to the East, I see Tampa out-edging the Florida Panthers for the Atlantic Division, followed by the Carolina Hurricanes winning the Metro. Rob Brindamore, head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, just came out the other day and said, we have 3 teams on our radar: Rangers, Penguins, Caps. The 3 teams below them, and that's all they're really concerned about as far as arch nemesis, arch rivals. They're out to win, and hence they are on a 4-game heater right now. I see them carrying this for I think they're going to separate themselves shortly here and run away with the Metro. And then as far as winning the Eastern Conference, I'm going to go Tampa. I think Tampa. No, just kidding. Carolina. Carolina is going to win is going to win the East and the President's Trophy most points.
I was just about to, when you're finishing saying that, I was just about to ask kind of a follow-up the President's Trophy. Yeah, Carolina. I'm going to stick with Colorado. Again, they got games to make up. they're already, like you mentioned, they are without McKinnon, but it came at a good time. So where they're with the All-Star break, they dropped one game before it without him. Like the break here, instead of losing 3, 4, 5 games without him, they haven't lost any. So that's helped them a lot. To where if that injury came at a different part of the year, then yeah, I could see them slipping farther. But I still think that they got enough power on that team to kind of stay where they're at, especially with games to make up.
Yeah, we'll have a good indication of how they're going to handle themselves right away out the gate here, as they have the Lightning Stars twice back to backs, then Vegas. So they have 4 really tough games coming up here, also in a short period of time, in 6 days.
Yeah. And you mentioned the Hurricanes too, as far as looking to separate themselves. Tonight, for one of the first 2 games out of the All-Star break, they head to Toronto for a game against the Leafs. And then over their next handful of games here, they got Wild, Panthers, Predators, Pens. Like they got over that basically brings them close to the end of February, but still, if they can get past all these teams, then yeah, they're going to definitely separate themselves, but also they can be brought back down to earth very quickly, as they have a stretch of some tough games here in February.
Yeah, one thing that's also going to be a benefit to them is that I don't believe they had any All-Stars. So full team rested, recovered at home. And the Maple Leafs had Austin Matthews out there. Oh, just kidding. I think Sebastian Aho went.
Yeah, he did. He won the accuracy challenge, I think.
So yep, there's your Carolina Hurricane.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good.
Oh yeah, sounds good. One other quick tangent here. I've seen discussions. What do you think about them adding fighting to college hockey?
I think it's cool. I mean, it just adds to the atmosphere. I know they've been, because what is it? It's a suspension if they were doing it before.
Yeah, right now you're tossed out.
Yeah, and now what? They're just gonna add it like normal. Just you sit in the bin for fighting.
I think you'd get a 5 and a 10. So you'd get a misconduct as well.
Okay. But still, I mean, lessening the penalty of it, kind of encouraging it more. I mean,
Well, it's not encouraging it. It's just allowing for it to happen.
Well, yeah, I guess that's a better way to say it. But I mean, it's going to happen no matter what. I feel like you're killing that part of these guys' brains to say you have to remove that part of your game unless you want to suffer the consequences and essentially maybe cost your team like a seeding spot or a playoff push if you're out and you're one of the top guys. So yeah, definitely lessening the penalty. I like that a lot. I feel like it's been a long time coming to kind of do that. So good on the NCAA's part to kind of pull back the reins on that part of hockey.
Yeah, I'm glad they're at least discussing it, because as playing juniors, when you're a young kid, before you even can go to college, you are already fighting. You are already doing all those other things. So then to take that complete part out of your game, whether that's protecting yourself, protecting a teammate, whatever the case may be, for you to be able to drop the mitts and let her be over, sit in the box, and it's all done and over with, instead of, oh, fuck, I think I costed our team now, or whatever the case may be. I feel like it is a good step towards, I would like to just see it be 5 minutes and let the kids go back out.
Yeah.
I feel like their game should be exactly the same as juniors. Like, why change that part where you're almost going backwards?
Yeah. In the same age group.
Yeah.
Where you're playing 2 different styles of hockey. Yeah.
Yeah, give or take, you're close to the same age group, because you have some guys that play juniors till they're 20 and then don't become a freshman till they're 21, where you have other kids who are 17 that are freshmen.
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of age, but that's the same as juniors. That's why I said it should be exactly the same, because you do have that age gap there as well. And then another tangent, more recently, women's college hockey players are basically pleading that they would like their game to become a contact sport. What do you think about that?
I mean, I like it as well. Again, when like it's the physicalness, the contact, the fighting, the checking, like it's the foundation, it's the roots of hockey. And I feel like to kind of pick and choose, oh, and like you're making the comparison of juniors and NCAA being different, and now they kind of that fighting, they're starting to allow it more in college. For women's hockey too, like I see why, like obvious, like the stereotype of like masculine, like contact fight, like these women are playing like if you're playing the same sport as a man, you should be treated like you should have the same rules, the same criteria, the same things to follow as the guys do.
And that
So
was basically the main argument that I heard to support this whole cause
yeah,
as well, was that women hockey players are sick of. It turns out that there's way more concussions in women's hockey than there is men's hockey, because of the collisions that do happen are happening in such a way that you're not expecting to be hit or even having the chance to be hit.
yeah,
Where if you were to know that that is a part of the game, you protect yourself in that way. And if
hmm,
you don't, you're gonna get your shit fucked up.
yeah,
That's a part of learning how to play. And they already are as skilled and as fast as the men play. So yeah, I don't see any reason, like you said, why there should be a difference, as the skill levels are about exactly the same. I'd almost say women's hockey is almost even a little higher skilled.
yeah. And kind of the way of looking at it too, as far as watching men's hockey, contact fighting, and then like the way they're treating women's is like this past weekend how we saw the Pro Bowl. It'd be like watching a regular football game, and then watching the Pro Bowl is like watching women's hockey. Like that's the image you want to give off, like that, like of less contact, less, like you're taking that part out of the game, and it's like it's ruining it in a way. Um, so yeah, hopefully they do right by it, and like start to tailor these games that men or women, college, juniors, NHL, like they start to overlap a little, because in football, high school to college to NFL, aside from in high school, you have 12-minute quarters to
And the ball
college
size, that's about
in the
it.
ball size. Yeah, that's the only different part of the game. That's literally it. And then in hockey, how they got, oh, let's change this, let's change. No, like you know what you're getting into when you get into the game, like at no matter what level. Because otherwise, I feel like you're going to start to see a downward trend if you keep like keeping the college and like these lower levels more PG. The guys who make it to the AHL, NHL, you're gonna have a lot of guys dropping like, holy fuck, like that's what it feels like to get hit. I don't want any of that. You train those guys early enough that it becomes a part of their game, a part of their mindset. Like it builds them to that level.
Yeah, that's the one thing, unfortunately, with all the science about CT and head injuries and all that stuff, they're not allowing kids to hit at the age that you used to be able to.
Yeah,
So you're slowing that progression down already. Like that's where the stoppage of it, I feel like, it started, is once you target the youth to change how that eventually it's going to meet the time where it gets full circle around, and you're going to have like that case.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Some interesting changes. Hopefully they, I mean, do right and right by it and make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been getting better and better. They allow a lot more contact between women's hockey than they used to. Like they let the women at least rub each other out into the boards, some open ice hits. But as far as lining somebody up with their head down and just being able to put them in the next week, there's that should still be a part of the game.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching our NHL segment. Be sure to tune back in tomorrow for all the NHL news, highlights, and scores for you.